Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about probably the most busted, broken OP thing that the game has probably ever seen. I know I'm always scared of calling something OP or broken or something because something that is strong doesn't really mean it's broken, right? But the mechanic that is out since the 3.10 Delirium leak, it's about Herald Stacking, is completely stupid and busted. Officially posted by mbX, the community manager of Grinding Gear Games. They are aware of this, but they are not changing that in this league. Quote from mbX, have fun with it until next league. So this is going to stay, and this is what we're going to try out now as the next project, basically, in the next upcoming days. So what am I talking about? Basically, I'm talking about the heraldry, or slash, what is it called? Purposeful Harbinger, Endbringer, and what is the other one called? The heraldry. So what does this do, basically? So the core thing is, you have Purposeful Harbinger, which says increased effect of aura buffs on you for each herald affecting you. That means as soon as I have a herald, that means that all my buffs that I'm getting, like if I have like a wrath or I don't know, a hatred buff or haste or something like that, is having 10% increased effect. That doesn't really sound that insane yet, because yeah, it's just 10%, right? I mean, yeah. Great, it's like 1% movement speed on haste or something, doesn't really matter too much. But the thing is, we have 5 heralds. We have Herald of Ash, Ice, Thunder, Agony, and Purity. What that means is we have now 5 heralds, and 5 heralds means 50% increased effect of aura buffs on you. Which is kinda sick, right? But not too insane yet, because 50% increased effect of auras just for 5 heralds, I mean, it costs a lot of mana, and what does it give you really, right? What we are talking about is stacking those jewels. So the thing is, before 3.10, before the Delirium League, I said there will be builds that are utilizing these cluster jewels, and the other skill tree, basically, the normal skill tree, will be completely useless because the cluster jewels will take over. And this was exactly when they stated, or GGG stated, that these things are stackable. And back in the days, it was kind of a meme that we said, hey, we're just going to play builds with full cluster jewels, going to be fun, right? But yeah, now it's basically reality, because the more of things you're going to get out of those, the better it is. All right, where we are back on here with the 50% increased effect of auras. So now you can stack this thing. So I'm personally having now 2 of these jewels, or at least 3. That can have that Purposeful Harbinger, means I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 50%, which is 300%. So whatever aura I will have on my character is going to be increased by 300%. And this is where it starts to be completely stupid. So in one hand, you could be a magic finder, for example, just having 5 heralds active, and then you run with an aura bot. Every single aura that you're gonna get from your aura bot, whether it's discipline, if it's haste, if it's whatever, like what I called anger, whatever aura you're gonna get from your aura bot buddy is going to be 300% increased. That means the what is it called, the fire version here, the anger, instead of like 100 to 200 fire damage, it gives you now like 300-400 to like 1,000% fire damage, basically, right? Or flat fire damage. So it is completely nuts and broken at it on itself, right? So the next thing is, what else could we do with it? So I'm a solo player, right? I don't really like to run with a party, neither do I have friends, sad face, that want to play with me. So I want to make a character that is playing on its own, basically. I don't want to run around with an aura bot. So for this one, we have something called the, where is it? Not even done with crafting my jewels yet. The Endbringer, for example. This is the second stat on this jewel here that I have over here. So the Purposeful Harbinger is like the core piece, and then we can add certain other things, like the Endbringer, which says 25% increased damage for each herald affecting you. 25%, 5 heralds, 125 times 6 is, fuck. Got it so early in the morning. So 600, dude. I don't really care now. So, 125 times 6, right? 750% increased damage. There we go. 750% increased damage globally. This is a global modifier. Means that will count on my exploit chest, that will count on my heralds, that will count on whatever I'm doing on my blade vortex at this part. you can do with it whatever you want, right? The next thing, if you're wondering how can you actually sustain the heralds, because we have like 5 heralds, all of these cost like 25% increased, or at least mana reservation. You can take the herald or the purposeful harbinger combined with the heraldry. So heraldry is a stuff that can be on a cluster jewel that has effect of herald buffs on you, but most importantly, 10% reduced mana reservation of herald skills. And this can be stackable. So if I say, you know, you can pretty much play any build that you want, using the purposeful harbinger with the heraldry to get like, if you use it out 6 times, it was like 60% reduced mana reservation of herald skills. So instead of 25, they cost like 12% or so, right? So it's not really hard if you have the heraldry that you can sustain all of your heralds, and then adding those buffs that you can then quite abuse because it's going to be so insanely strong. Good. For this reason, I think I leveled up 2 characters yesterday. One is the Elementalist here and a Guardian. So I think these 2 are the ascendancies that can take the most use out of that, right? So if you take a look at the Guardian nodes, we have like Unwavering Faith, where you get physical damage reduction and life regen for you and your allies, basically for each aura you have. Since we are basically aura stacking, we're gonna get this buff quite often, right? And this one is actually in your skill bar. Let me see if I can have it over here somewhere. This is one of the reasons why I don't really like to play with a Templar, or yeah, the character model is just weird. I don't know. Let me quickly get in my leveling tab. Let's take a tabula and let's see if I have any kind of herald or anything like. Do we have a purity of fire, purity of lightning? There you go. So if I activate this aura now, I have the Radiant Faith, for example, over here, right? This is also an aura, and will also receive the 300% buff effect, right? So it is actually quite stupid what you can do with this mechanic. So back on my Elementalist, which I think is the more preferable version of for me, basically. As I said, the Guardian, aura stacking, you're gonna get shit tons of benefits from the aura stacking, and those benefits will be then increased by 300% as well. So back on the Elementalist, why do I think Elementalist is a great choice for this? Because of the mastermind of Discord, which says 25% reduced mana reservation of herald skills. All right, so every herald that you're gonna reserve will cost like 25% reduced mana as well, and then combined with, for example, the heraldry, I can get this one down to like, I don't know, like 10% for each herald, and then I still have room for improvements for adding a hatred, for example, for my blade vortex. So why hatred, for example? The thing is, the hatred will basically give you this as extra cold damage and more cold damage, right? So we multiply that by like 300% increased, right? Means as soon as I have this activated with my heralds, I'm probably gonna have like 100% physical as extra cold damage, and I don't know, like more than 100% more cold damage from this aura. And then if we combine this one with like a haste, which then gives me like, I don't know how many movement speed in total. The next thing I want to talk about is the Tailwind boots, for example. So Tailwind is basically we have Path of Building open here somewhere. Tailwind is basically an aura that is used to be on the Deadeye Ascendancy. That means if we go to the tree over here, where is it here? Gathering Winds. If you used a skill recently, you and nearby allies have Tailwind. Means it is an aura, right? And Tailwind gives you action speed. And action speed is increasing your attack speed, your cast speed, and your movement speed. And yeah, once you have Tailwind boots that we have nowadays since 3.9, since the rework with the influenced items, you can have Tailwind boots. And Tailwind boots, instead of giving you like 10% increased effect or action speed, you're gonna get like 30-40% action speed, for example, right? Good. So you kind of get the idea how this thing is working and why it is actually completely nuts. The next thing I want to talk about is the good old Headhunter. So Headhunter is an item that you're gonna steal buffs and auras from the enemy, right? Either you play this with a standalone item like I do, or you could do the self-curse attempt chains that we used several times through the past leagues, like the Legion carry and so on, to make your buffs buffs and auras last way longer than they used to, because the Headhunter buff is like 20 seconds, but with the self-cursed temp chains, with this kind of stacking, you can get up the buffs to like, I don't know, like 80 seconds or something. So they nerfed that. They nerfed that because there is an amulet like the Solstice Vigil that is giving you reduced expire rate from your buffs, for example. It means they last longer, right? You had the self-cursed temp chains, which is also letting the buffs that you have like fade slower, right? They nerfed all of that. It was a cap of like 45% increased curse effect to hit the cap of this 75% reduced or expiration rate, right? They nerfed all of that, but what they gave us is the Solstice Vigil, which still is an aura, right? This is the one that is actually making your stuff expire slower. And with the Purposeful Harbinger now, you get this one up to increased 300%. Alright, so you have this slower thing, and this, with 300% increased effect of auras, you're hitting the cap again, or the self-cursed temp chains, basically, that your Headhunter buffs will last like more than a minute, okay? Just the good thing is, you don't need to self-curse temp chains anymore. So you have your boot slot open, which used to be the Chaos Roots, and you had the Shackles of the Wretch to even be able to self-curse temp chains on you. So these two things are gone. The only thing you need is stacking the Purposeful Harbinger, get the Solstice Vigil. This is why these amulets go for like 30 exalts right now. This is kind of insane. And you have like almost unlimited Headhunter buffs. Right? And every aura that you're gonna steal with the Headhunter, whether it's haste or damaging aura, whatever it is going to be affected by the Purposeful Harbinger as well. So, short form, once you get the cluster jewels going, once you have your 5 heralds, and you have like an Endbringer that is like what do we say, like 125 or 150% increased damage globally, right? So the more you can get out of that, the better. And I saw videos where Guardians, like face tanking the entire game from Cyrus over a Shaper Beam on Uber Elder and so on, they just stand there. And the weird thing is, since they are Guardians and they have the effect of the auras, which means a purity of lightning, ice, and fire basically, giving you even more out of that, you're gonna be capped on resistance on start of mapping basically once you start this kind of strategy. So you can do whatever you want with your character. And we're going to see in the next upcoming days what we're going to do with the build, what we're going to achieve with the Herald Stacking. I'm still not done with my build. I do have like one time what's it called? The Heraldry basically. I think it is over here. It doesn't really matter. Because I'm crafting those myself. I try to craft those myself. I do have 6 times the Purposeful Harbinger, but the other stats, I have like 3 times Endbringer at the moment, which scales up my damage by 1000%. And only 1 time Heraldry that I would like to stack, because the more Heraldry I have, the less my Heralds cost, the more auras naturally I can add, like Hatred or something like that. Good. I think quite long video, but it just, I want to give you an inside view on this topic. I know I'm not the first one, basically, but, you know, it's time. Let's just try out this little bit overtuned mechanic here, as long as we have it, because in the end, it's all about having fun. It's still a game, and if we say this brings a lot of fun at the moment, then let's just try it, I would say. And if it is that broken as I think it will be, or as I've seen in other videos, then it's going to be boring quite fast anyways, because having a character with like 1000% movement speed, max resistance, cannot die anymore, deals like 20 million Shaper DPS, you know, it's like cheating in the game. You just have your Godmode character and then just run around, and in the end, you're gonna go back to the old school things, because it is actually fun to sometimes in softcore die, so you know you have to improve your character to keep on going. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.